Hello, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here with a Niche Lifestyle Show, and we have Adam Smith as well and Alex Cooper. Today, our topic is ways to grow a site. The target is, if you're at $500 or some amount of money, and you want to grow it up to $10,000 per month. So, not starting from scratch, but you're earning a little bit of money. So we're going to go through some strategies there and just kind of catch up here for the first few minutes. We do have Daniel on and Phil, Secretarial Monks, and Glenn. So what's up, folks in the crowd? Please let us know if you could hear us okay. And I was out last week, so I was out on vacation, so I haven't caught up with the guys in a bit. So Alex, what's been going on in your neck of the woods?
Not too much. I've been playing around with some Fiverr services. That's been fun. I should say that Fiverr reached out to me and wanted to do some stuff, so I said, okay, why not? Just looking at ways to scale my sites without me doing too much work, so I just wanted to check out Fiverr. So I've had a guy do some videos for me, and they're pretty cool. Basically compilation videos, darts stuff. A lot of people looking for funny darts tricks and that kind of thing, so
Okay.
put some of them together. Pretty pleased with that. Also had an illustrator do some illustrations for some of my content, which has turned out really nice as well. So I'm thinking, in a way of making your content really unique, and rather than using stock images, get some hand-drawn illustrations. Really looks really nice. So going to do some videos on them soon. Other than that, not much to report. Did a live stream last night, which was good fun. Did some site reviews. And yeah, today I'm just putting together my earnings report for last month. Dealing with some trolls on my comments. I really shouldn't engage with them. They're always called Derek. It's weird. It's not the same Derek, but yeah. Derek. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Gotcha.
We missed you last week.
Yeah, thanks. And I was going to say, for the Fiverr deal, is it just like an affiliate thing, or you don't have to answer here if you don't want to, but they emailed me and I was like, I don't know if I want to mess around with this kind of stuff right now. But
so they joined me up for their ambassador program or something like that. Basically, yeah, it's an affiliate thing. They give you higher commission. They also give you some credits to spend on services,
okay.
Which I was going to buy some anyway, so I kind of I'll take it. And I think the only other thing is they do want to check the video before you upload it. But I guess that's fine.
Oh man, you're in the pockets of the big guys now. Editorial control. Oh no.
We'll see how it works out. Well, exactly. It depends what they say about the video. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll publish it anyway.
Yeah, I thought about doing. Funny enough, it was like totally coincidence. I didn't know you were doing that, but I was like, oh, there's a bunch of people that do like keyword services or whatever. I'm just curious if I just say, hey, give me whatever 50 keywords from this niche, and what do we get? And then that's good. That's good content, right? Because people are trying to
Well, I've done that before. I have done Fiverr videos before, but not with them. I've just kind of done it myself as an affiliate, which has worked fine. They only add these extra stipulations if you're going to be a partner and if they're going to pay for the services. But yeah, I've used the keyword guys. I've used another guy to do some speed stuff, and some of the stuff you get back is terrible, I've got to say, and some of it is good. You just got, like all these things, you've got to find the right people. I've used them as well for some YouTube stuff like thumbnails and things, and again, I've always been pretty pleased. And the whole interface and the app and everything with Fiverr is very good. But yeah, I think there's plenty of videos that can be made on Fiverr stuff. A lot of people always ask me, should I buy some links from Fiverr?
Right.
I always say no.
Yeah.
But, maybe it'd be worth checking. It might make an interesting video.
Yeah, I could test it out on one of your public sites and just see how it goes, and then tell you later. Just kidding. I would not do that. No one do that. No one do that, by the way.
There's no such thing as negative SEO.
Yeah, I don't know. Once your site gets hit, then you're like, I don't know. Maybe there is. So
maybe it was Doug. It was Doug after.
Yeah. So okay, cool. What about you, Adam? What's been going on?
Yeah, nothing as exciting as Alex, to be fair.
Exciting is the right word.
Exciting in the realm of what we do. It's been a boring week, to be fair, in terms of just been lots of working within the business. We've had onboarded some new staff this week. It's lots of interviews for new positions within the business. So like we hired a a management accountant into the business this week. So a lot of my time this week has been spent onboarding her and running her through our systems and processes that we have. So I've not done anything fun this week. Even though I'm still in Spain, I've barely been out this week either, to be honest. I feel like I'm just back home, just stuck in the house working. But I've got next week booked off. So I've got holiday next week. We're going to rent a car. We're going to go and do some sightseeing before we come home.
Got it. Yeah, I was going to say that sounds a lot like work there, but
been a lot like work. Hard work, yeah.
And I know, I don't know, I haven't caught up with you guys, so we haven't talked offline at all. But I was going to say, I know you guys were looking at the data analysis stuff, and funny enough, one of my friends, which I'll talk about in a second, when I was on my travels, he was like, I'm a data scientist, which I knew he worked in data, and he works at Meta. He was like, I got a new job a few months ago, so he's actually like pretty good. And I did check with you guys. I was like, hey, what are you looking for? He may know someone, but you need. I didn't get a chance to tell Mark, but at least tell me like what data you have and what deliverables you're looking for, because I'm not gonna say like, hey man, do you want to talk to my random friends about what they don't know, what they can do with data? So if you come up with something specific, I could send it over to him to see if he knows someone that could help.
The exciting movement on the data front. So we initially were thinking that we would get about 5,000 websites in the data project, but looks like we're going to be more towards the 7,000 to 10,000, hopefully. So we've got more data than we expected. And I've literally got on my calendar tomorrow, Doug, to write a brief of exactly what we think we want from the data.
Okay. Perfect.
And I'll share with you.
Cool. All right. Yeah. And I assumed that was coming on the way. So awesome. Very good. And I see a couple great questions, which we'll certainly get to. So if you do have specific questions, put them in the chat. I see Secretarial Monks and Toby have a couple, which we'll get to in a second. And for me, I was out last week and I was traveling. So we went back up north. So I'm in Colorado. So we went to Wyoming for a day, went through Yellowstone, and then up to Bozeman, Montana, where we used to live, and then over to Missoula. So we got to visit with some friends. One of them is the data scientist. We saw like probably 150 bison or something like going through the park. It was crazy. There were so many this particular trip. And then went over to Missoula, where I had a beer judging activity. So I'm a fairly highly ranked beer judge for homebrew competitions. But if you are qualified, then you could judge like pro brew festivals and stuff. So I went and helped with a test for would-be beer judges, which was good. Always a little stressful because everyone there is like counting on you to do a good job. And without going into too many details, like I fill out a score sheet for these beers. So we get 6 beers in an hour and a half. And this is like 9:30 in the morning, by the way. So it's early in the morning.
Are these full beers as well, Doug? Like full pints of beers, or?
They typically, we could do what we need to do with about 2 ounces. So I'm drinking like probably 2 to 3 ounces of beer, taste it, smell it, look at it, and I judge it against guidelines. So it's kind of like the dog shows, right? So like you judge a stout as a stout. If someone enters like a pale ale as a stout, even though it's a good beer, it's not the right kind of beer for that style. So it's kind of like that. And
I was thinking you would. I just looked up 2 ounces, about a tenth of a pint, and I was thinking you were like having 10 pints of beer in an hour and a half.
Yeah, lightweight.
Yeah, it's just a tiny amount. And anyway, so these examinees that are taking the test, they fill out their score sheets, and then they're graded. And then someone else have these sort of master score sheets. So they're like graded against hours, or at least all the data is considered. So I did that. And then after that, there's a beer festival. It's like the Montana Brewer like fall rendezvous. So it's a huge beer fest. And I got to judge the beers for the pro brewers and do the best in show. So it was like a full, I would say 6 hours of like beer judging. And then the festival after that, where you want to unwind, which is why my voice is trashed. So,
quite a bit,
Yeah. So it was fun, a lot of fun. And Dami asked, do you drink the beer or just taste? We drink it. So you do get like extra like flavor and mouthfeel, like judging components from actually drinking the beer. So yeah, it's a little, it does add up though. So like 2 ounces is not too much, but then I'm trying to think, I probably judged, like 30 some odd beers. So it's like 60 ounces of beer. So which ends up being a lot. And then I drank more for fun after that. So anyway, it was good.
What was your favorite beer?
The winner was a Dunkel. Yeah, it was a German Dunkel. So it was a dark lager, which was perfect for like the fall weather and all that stuff. Yeah. Beautiful trip. Great in Montana. And yeah, we definitely missed it, just seeing how beautiful it is up there. So anyway, I could talk about that stuff all day long.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't.
Quick before we move into it, I know there have been a lot of Google algorithm updates recently. I heard from a few people that around September 25th, their sites recovered. Did you guys have any sites recover on September, very late September there?
Yeah, that one site the one site that was hitting the update I think it was the couple of updates before, went to almost nothing and then came back then. It's not as back as strong as it was. So it went from like 700 visitors a day down to like 30 visitors a day, like to nothing almost. And now it's back at around 500 visitors a day. So it's recovered somewhat, not fully. And then the last time we spoke, when the update was just rolling out, 2 of my websites had a big boost, and I was like, "Oh, this is great!" But then I was a bit apprehensive because that sometimes means it's going to go back. But they just went back to normal. The boost didn't carry on, but they didn't drop below where they were. It was almost like a week of just above average results, and then went back to normal. Then, so yeah, largely unaffected across my sites.
What about you?
Okay. Yeah, I've just on a side note, I've noticed in Google Search Console, if you look at your performance graph, there's a little number 1 down the bottom for the 21st September, and it says an event has occurred in Google Search that might affect your site's data. So they're actually kind of marking on the graph the updates, or some of them anyway. And yeah, since then, my site, or Dartpix, which was the one that had been hit particularly bad, does start going up there. Although, did I tell you about this, Doug? Charles Float, me and him have a thing. Well, one of his fans, allegedly, he says it wasn't him, ran some weird kind of CTR bot on Dartpix that particular day. And it basically made the top query in my search console come up as dartpix.com, Charles Float's your daddy. Just for a bit of fun. But it kind of spiked the impressions up to like 5,000 impressions, spiked the CTR, and then since then, it's kind of recovered. I guess it's just coincidental because that's when the Google update rolled out. But whatever way, I mean, thanks, Charles. I did a little video on that. They're just playing with me.
That's
so yeah, a bit of recovery. I'm confident. I'm working on it again. And my other site, the Popcorn one, it's just kind of going sideways at the moment.
Okay.
About 200 a day.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And I have a couple interviews coming up where I've talked to people that, they have like a week of recovery, so not a ton of data, but hopefully this will play out. And I also wonder, a lot of times it seems like Google puts out some, or at least the last couple of years, a product or just a general core update in like December or like sometime to really mess up the retail season, seems like. It feels that way. So I wonder if there'll be another one in like 6 weeks or so, or just around that time to mess with everybody. Just a coincidence probably. But anyway, cool. And I was going to say for my sites, a couple of them took a little bit of a hit, and it was generally around the helpful content update, but there's been no recovery or anything like that. And it wasn't a big hit. It was only like maybe 8 to 15% or so. These go up and down, but roughly in that range. So you could kind of see it if you zoom out it's not dramatic, but it's not, it's not the best thing to see the traffic go down. So anyway, well, let's get into it. We'll talk about growing a site from 500 to 10,000 per month. And a lot of people do have questions, which we'll get to. And if you have the chance, hit the thumbs up. Maybe this video will get suggested to more people if everyone hits thumbs up at the same time, or switch to different profiles and boost it artificially. Whatever you have to do, just make it look like this video is good. All right. Does one of you want to go first with just sort of a broad set of strategies for growing a site? And we put in specific numbers here, but it could be in the right magnitude, right? So you're making a couple $100 a month and you want to get it up to what you consider full-time. That could be 5K, it could be 10K, it could be 20K, but you're talking about pretty big growth. So do either one of you want to open up the floor here?
Yeah, I don't mind going. I think we should probably approach it coming from two different angles though. One is strategies for increasing your traffic, and then strategies for increasing the value of that traffic, because there's the two different ways, the two different levers you can pull, right? And broadly speaking, we'll probably get into more of it, but broadly speaking, to increase your traffic, you've got things like create more content, build more links, diversify your traffic, and get social media traffic, for example, or build a YouTube channel and drive traffic that way. And then on the other side of monetizing more, you've got things like CRO and diversifying your income and creating a digital product. So I don't know where we want to start, but I think there's two routes to grow in it. One is traffic, one is revenue. Both at the same time is the best, obviously, but that's hard to do both at the same time. So pick one.
Got it. Cool. That's a good opening, and we'll definitely visit each of those areas. So, Alex, what about you? Any additional thoughts on the specific areas there?
The first thing I want to say is that I'm not qualified to really talk about growing a site to 10,000 a month, because I don't think I've ever had a site that does that. I mean, I've got 4 figures, but never 5 figures. But all I did Best Roof Box is one of my case studies that was public, and I discovered a format for content, and I think this can work across a number of different niches and niches. So the Best Roof Box for a Volkswagen Golf, I noticed those kind of articles were doing well, and I was able to scale it quite quickly by literally kind of rewriting them, but for each kind of car, make and model. So I've got a list of all the cars that are available in the US, and then just started going through my content and creating, the Best Roof Box for an Acura, whatever, or Toyota, whatever. And it enabled me to scale my content very quickly, and the content that worked because I'd already seen it work on a couple of other posts. And, it was very long tail content. So it all got indexed and ranked pretty well. And that really gave the site a big boost. So that's how I increased the traffic. In terms of increasing revenue, adding things like comparison tables had a big effect on that site as well. So AAWP was a good thing to use, putting that right at the top of the posts. It seemed that a lot of people just came in, they weren't actually reading the articles, they were just scanning the tables and then clicking through to Amazon. So that's kind of how I increased the revenue, was by adding a simple comparison table to the top of a lot of content.
Cool. And I think, actually, I'll dig a little deeper with you, Alex, here. So let's say, and I think a lot of the questions will kind of align with this too. So what was the max revenue that you were earning from, you were talking about the roof box site, right? So for that site, what was the max revenue?
I got up to about 4,000 a month, I think, at its peak.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's like in the right ballpark. And then do you think it would have been possible? Do you think there were competitors that were making 10K a month in the same niche? Fairly narrow one, I would say, too.
No, probably not in the exact. It didn't have too much competition, to be fair, because it was such a narrow niche. But yeah, there's definitely more kind of general automotive sites that were doing much better. And that would, again, I guess, be the next step with that site, would be to try and expand it up. Unfortunately, it's slightly restricted by the domain name that I chose.
Sure. Okay. So that one maybe is just limited because the full audience worldwide doesn't cover enough. Okay. So, or at least the way
although I mean there would be opportunities, I think, internationally, because it was very US targeted, but we were starting to get traffic from UK and other European countries. So, but again, the cars and the products are slightly different. So the next logical step would be to create a UK site or a UK section of the site and try and cater for those people that are looking for UK models.
Okay, got it. And the other piece. So you were monetizing with ads and Amazon, right? Primarily.
Yeah, the bulk of the money on that site came from Amazon affiliate. High revenue, high cost items. A roof box, anything from $200 up to over $1,000.
Perfect. Okay, so I've teed up a scenario for Adam to answer here. So I'm looking at the monetization, and Amazon, traditionally doesn't pay a high commission rate. It's small market, but Adam, do you think there's a window to earn more if you change the equation for monetization? If so, how would you do it?
Yeah. So the first thing I would look at is, obviously Amazon we know pays well. You have to test this. My experience in the past when I've tested it has been, even if I've swapped out the products to a higher paying affiliate program, that doesn't always necessarily mean you make more money, because people trust Amazon. People buy more on Amazon. You get a 24-hour cookie and they buy other random stuff. So like the first thing I'd look to do is take some of your top performing pages, look in analytics where your best traffic pages are, and then look to see if you can find affiliate programs for the top products that it's already getting those traffic on those pages, and test them. And you can test it either by having two buttons: check price on Amazon, check price on whichever else, or you can just swap them out and just try one for a month and the other for the month. When I tested this, the way I did it was have the two buttons on there, and I'd say check latest price on Amazon, check latest price on X, and then underneath I put we usually have a sale on here, so check it first. So they'd click it away from Amazon. At least then I've set the cookie, so if they go back and buy something. But even doing that, it didn't make more money. So that's the first route, is test that. Second route is look at the CRO of the page. Alex, you mentioned tables there. Can you make the tables better or different? Are the tables optimized for click-through? So, in terms of like the color scheme, if your main color on the page and your logo is red, are your call to action buttons the opposite color on the color wheel? So it contrasts, and that's the only color on the page is the call to action button, that color. So it really stands out, it contrasts, and people want to click. How do those tables look on mobile? Like AWP is good at converting the tables to mobile, but some tables look crap on mobile, and you've got that having to scroll across, terrible stuff. So just making sure that looks good. And then I think that's as far really as you can go on the product side of things. The other way I would look then of taking an Alex's side further is look at, is there any more informational based content that I can create, and then increase the display ad revenue. So do as much as you can on the product side, and then can you increase display ad revenue through informational based content or surrounding topics, or like Alex said, branching out into more general automotive side of things. I think Alex's niche there specifically doesn't really lend itself very well to like digital product or creating a course. Nobody wants a course on picking the best roof box. So
no, it's not a one-off. Yeah, course is only going to work for certain niches, isn't it?
Yeah, or even a digital product, or you couldn't create a community around people who are enthusiasts of roof boxes. I don't think so.
They're not a thing. It's just like something you need sometimes when you're going away.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, it's not a lifestyle, but at the same time, you got it up to 4K a month, which is a lot, and then you were able to sell it for. What'd you sell it for?
70,000.
Okay. How's it doing these days? I know there was a drop before. Is it still not great? Not good?
Not good.
Okay.
No, luckily the new buyer does send me updates, but yeah, it's really dropped off. Why that is, it's hard to say. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of Amazon updates. They haven't really added much new content,
right?
Which I don't think is good. And they haven't really gone through the existing content and kept it up to date, which with a site like that is an overhead, because products change all the time. And so you do need to keep the site up to date.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I want to talk to Adam actually about it offline, because I know that you guys have been doing some work with the new owner. Okay. But maybe he'll offer it back to me at a reduced rate. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah,
That'd be weird.
it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So, with the monetization, I mean, you guys covered a lot, and my only, additional thought is maybe the only way to, find another program that has high conversions and a high price and a better commission rate would be if it was something like really specific. So if someone had like a Jeep that they customized and they could only get a specific cargo situation that fit that, and and they're completely price insensitive, and they're like, we'll pay whatever it takes because we've already spent like $80,000 on this Jeep and all this other stuff that we've accessorized. So that would be the only way. Of course, I don't know anything about that at all, but it would just be like a lucky coincidence, and I think you'd have to be like a consumer of it or like in the community that cares. I think maybe there's a van life angle here because like those people are spending a lot. Maybe, that would be something. And then you could partner with people that have a big social media presence, so that it's a little different, but no slam dunks. Now, obviously, we can try to improve the conversion rate. We can try to get higher paying, commission rates and all that. But at some point, like, you need more traffic, and there's only so much you can optimize. And, people should spend time and get the low hanging fruit and all that for optimization. But at some point you do need more traffic. So there's a couple thumb screws. Adam, you mentioned just, you can publish more informational content. Sometimes those are pretty low competition. Sometimes you kind of have endless keywords if you take that approach. So let's break it down to two areas of, I would say, like link building or promotion to improve your rankings, or maybe we could just view it as improving your rankings. And then another area of content, which branches off into a couple different areas too. So again, do either of you have some initial thoughts, some direction you want to go in right off the bat? You can raise your hand.
Well, the easiest thing is obviously to add more content, isn't it? Well, most people, they're already creating content, so you just have to do more of it. And yeah, if you have been doing a lot of product-related content, which personally I think is not the sort of content you really want to be spending too much time on, unless you can get some really good content. Just as a side thought, going back to Fiverr, there's a couple of other services that I really want to try where you can basically pay someone. They will order whatever you want them to on Amazon. They will make a video about it in whatever style you want, and then the video is yours to use. And I'm just thinking, is that a shortcut now to kind of get around this thing? Because I'm thinking for popcorn, I really don't want to buy a ton of popcorn machines, but I could get someone to buy some popcorn and eat it and make a video. I don't know.
Do you have to pay for the product? Do they pay for it and send it back?
No, you would have to pay for the product as well. So for bags of popcorn, it's probably fine. For $1,000 roof boxes, I don't know.
Yeah, dude, let me know. I love popcorn, and I'll try like different kinds of kernels.
Shall I just send you some popcorn? You can make me some videos.
Yeah, man, I love it. I have all the video gear. I could talk. I'm like a fucking beer judge, right? So I could talk about the flavors. I'm like, oh, this is a really nutty, buttery flavor. The kernels really popped.
This could be like a side hustle for you, popcorn video maker.
I'll keep going though.
Or we could just have like a weird ASMR style video of just you sitting eating popcorn for like an hour with the microphone really close to your mouth.
Yeah, I could do that. I got the right mic for it too.
That might do well. Yeah, I think that would do well. So I forgot what I was talking about. Product content. It's something that I've steered away from now, as such, especially with the product review update from Google, that kind of thing. I think you really have to deliver some really good value if you're going to do product review kind of content. So go for informational content. There's so many questions that people are asking, and all you got to do is do a bit of research, pull something together, and make sure that it's factually correct and nicely laid out, and carry on. But, and I think Adam will probably back me up on this, there is a limit to how much content or how far content will get you. Obviously, we need to keep adding lots of content. But, for example, I've got a few articles now that they're sitting page one for a lot of keywords, kind of halfway up page one, bringing in a reasonable amount of traffic. But I just know that I need to do some sort of link building or something just to give them that little push to raise the overall domain authority, raise the overall article authority, so that I can knock those guys off the top. So I think link building has its place, but maybe when you get to a certain point with your content where you are ranking and you are getting traffic, but you just want to give it a push.
It's really interesting.
Would you agree with that?
Really interesting you mention that, because I mean, the data project has always given us these kinds of insights, and like this is kind of crazy. Across the 4,000 sites that we've looked at so far, the difference between sites that are getting 200,000 visits a month and 350,000 visits a month, the difference in number of posts is relatively small. They've got like 10% more content. The difference there is the average DR goes from a 49 to a 58. So if you're at that level where you've got 200,000 visits a month and you want to get to 350,000, you've already, as long as you're in that average banding, most of the websites in that band already have all the content they need. They just need to switch the focus to be 90% link building. So hopefully, with this project, you can start to build out your own roadmap. I think it's what we see in content and links are important up front. And then there's shifts then. And by up front, I mean to get to your first 50,000 visits. To get from 50 to 100,000, it's mostly content and a little bit of link building. To get from 100,000 to 200,000, it's both. Again, you have to do both equally as hard. And then 200 to 350,000, it's links, and then it's back to a little bit more of both. So, yeah, I can't wait to share this, because it's really crap me talking about it. And can't really...
You've got a data scientist now. Is it Doug's friend or is it someone else?
Well, no. So we had a call with the data scientist on Tuesday, but it turns out that he's more of a data visualization expert. So he works in Tableau.
Oh, he can draw a graph. Okay, we can all draw.
Yeah. We want to make this into like something really cool, and he's going to help us make interactive Tableau dashboards we can embed on the website, so you can click on the niche and you can see the different DR ratings across the different bandings of traffic and stuff. But I started speaking to we are looking for a data scientist, but I did start speaking to someone yesterday. They seem to know what they're talking about. They're talking about linear regression and different types of correlation models and stuff. And I'm like, this sounds like the stuff we need. But yeah,
sounds good. I have no idea what did you say it was, a linear regression?
Linear regression and correlation models, and because basically that's the hard thing with this data is we know the answer. We know the question that we want to answer, and the question is, how much link building and content do I need to get to X amount of revenue per month? So we've got the kind of link building, number of posts, and estimated revenue from that. We just need a data scientist to help us say, if you did X, Y, Z, what's the likelihood and chance of you hitting that number? Like, what's the likelihood of you being in that average range? What's the likelihood of you being an underperformer? And what does that look like? And what's the likelihood of you being an overperformer? And what does that look like? They sound really basic questions, but I think there's a whole lot more maths that go behind it, rather than us just trying to say what's the average DR of the column and stuff.
Right. I think
you've got to. Yeah, sorry, you've got to have a lot of. You must be kind of making a lot of averages up, because the range of data that you've got, like, because niche has a big effect on this, surely, doesn't it? And in terms of whether it's an informational niche, whether it's like a high value product niche. And when you start averaging that out, then it's going to. You could say, okay, you need 100 posts and 10 links to make 1,000 a month. But then this other site needs 1,000 posts and 30 links because of the niche that it's in. I don't know.
Well, you say that. That was our assumption. We assumed that, and again, we're only working with partial data at the minute. But our assumption was we break it down into niches, because every niche is going to be different. But from the 4,000 sites that we've analyzed so far, we broke it down across, I think, 8 or 9 different niches. And the difference is not a lot. So some sites need more content to get to $1,000 a month, but less to get to 20,000, and the other way around. So we were the same mindset as we thought it would be all different. Some niches are easier than others, but across the average, across them all, it doesn't seem to be totally different. And the other thing I would say is that the sites that we've looked at, they're all content-based or affiliate-based sites. So they're either monetized with Amazon, the products like you'd expect a traditional affiliate site, or they're with Mediavine or AdThrive or Ezoic, and that's their primary source of monetization. So there's no e-commerce stores, there's no membership sites, there's no brick and mortar businesses. They're typically the sites that we create, like your popcorn site or your dart site or Doug sites. We've specifically gone through the list and taken out all the other sites that we would consider not to be a site that we would look at.
Okay. It's going to be interesting.
Which is why it's taken so long, because all that shit is manual. It's hard work.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, it'll be awesome when you get it out.
Going back to data scientists just quickly, Doug, how close is your friend to Zuck?
Not super close. I know some of his reports do end up like on his desk or whatever. So it's like closer than you would think for like a random person. So
I'd love to know what Zuck's like in real life. To me, he comes across kind of awkward, robotic, weird.
He does. Yeah. Have you watched any? He was on. I think he was on the Lex Friedman podcast and maybe Joe Rogan. So I checked out a couple of those.
Joe Rogan, yeah.
Yeah. So like that was a little bit. I think I only watched maybe like a couple clips or something like that because I didn't care enough. But yeah, definitely on some of the prepared talks, like he seems very odd.
Yeah.
Like you would expect. So I think we were talking on the traffic side, right? And a little about link building, and that led us to the data project. So everyone stay tuned. Like the data project is not done yet. And quick note, we see all the questions. We'll come to the questions shortly here. So on the traffic side, we did talk a little bit about the link building, not too much from a strategic standpoint. Let's shift because we're really thinking about rankings as well. So we all mentioned just like having content, publishing more content. I've heard Google say or like tweet that they want creators, content websites to publish and spend about 50% of their time on that. And then the other 50% improving old content, which I think a lot of people don't do. 50% is a lot. And it kind of, it's kind of boring, to go back and improve the old content. So, I mean, I'm actually at a point for a couple of my sites where me personally, I'm going to go and rewrite stuff. So one way that I looked at it, tying together to the monetization, a lot of these are informational posts, not all of them, but I went to Ezoic and I went to the big data analytics section and just sorted by EPMV, the earnings per 1,000 visitors. And I see like some are, some topic areas are paying a lot, and some topic areas are not paying that much. So I'm going to rewrite the stuff that is earning well, hoping that I can, rank higher by improving the content, making it more thorough. I happen to be an expert in the area, so I could probably add like specific ideas around it and, make it rank better just because I know it better than like some random writer who just regurgitated stuff on other websites or used an AI tool or something like that. So that's one thing I'm going to do. Now for you guys, what kind of emphasis do you put on improving old content? And I'll send it to you, Adam, first.
Yeah, not as much as I should do, to be honest. my default for content is just new content. But I think you're right, Doug. It is important to update for a couple of things. When you're looking at your big data analytics there, the pieces of content that are getting the highest EPMV, even if you don't increase the rankings, if you add additional content to that site and make it longer and better, you get more placeholders, and you should just make more money in general anyway. Like I've done that in the past where I updated the top 20% of the pages on the website to include more images, more breaks, more FAQs, just to make it longer and add more placeholders. So same traffic, you just get a little bit more revenue. But in terms of updating old content, I think like two strategies which I use one more than the other. I use updating to add FAQs a lot more than the other. And that one is pretty straightforward. You just take the primary keyword or title for the piece of content, put it into Google, look at the people also ask questions and create some FAQs out of that. And that's a good way of adding to the piece of content. So it's updated and it's fresh, but also adding points that are topically relevant and building like a topical authority for that post. And then what I find with people also ask questions is they're usually highly related to other people also ask questions that if you do this across maybe 10 pieces of content, the questions are usually highly related. And there's also an opportunity for internal linking there. You almost create like this web of internal links through your people also ask question, and it does the job twofold. You update the content and you add a good bit of internal linking as well. The other method, which I've done less of, and there's tools to help you. I think it was you, Alex, who was telling us about this tool before. You goes into Search Console and pulls out the query terms that are getting high impressions but low.
Have you tried that out now? I've not even tried it.
No, I didn't. I've done it manually, but I've not tried the tool.
It's by Joe from Fat Joe.
Query Hunter, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Was it Query Hunter, I think?
Query Hunter, yeah. I think it's by Fat Joe, what we call.
Yeah, so that's the other ways to go into Search Console, look at specific pages, see what queries and queries you're getting high impressions for, low clicks. Go and have a look. Have you included a section on the page about those topics? If you haven't, then add one, because Google already thinks that piece of content is talking about it in some way, shape, or form. So,
yeah, that is a great tip, because Google is showing you there that it really wants you to rank for these keywords, and maybe your content's just slightly off or not answering those questions as accurately or specifically as it could. A few little tweaks can make a big difference.
I think the hard part and why people struggle with updating content is it's a different skill set and a different SOP for maybe your writers. Like most writers, they know how to write a new piece of content from scratch. They know how to do the research. To update an old piece of content, they need slightly different things each time. Whether that is you go and look at what's ranking in number one and make a note of the headings and update your piece of content to include those headings, or whether it's go into Search Console. It's not the typical skill set of just a traditional content writer. So I think most niche site owners, the premise of updating old content falls onto them. It's their responsibility to update old content. They'll outsource content all day long, new content, but when it comes to updating it, it feels like they have to do it themselves, or at least find a different way of doing it.
Right. And I think, to your point, the different skill set, it is just a matter of putting together the SOPs, or Adam, you didn't intentionally do it, but I know you guys have a product and you're always trying to push your stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But you have the FAQ service, right? So you can like pretty easily outsource it, and you obviously have SOPs that your team uses. So there are, usually, even if it's a complicated thing, like you can go through the checklist, maybe there's some decision points, but you use certain information that you have or that you could check to make those decisions. So it's not that complicated. It's just different. And you have to like do a little more work, and you have to trust whoever you're hiring to not mess it up. And you have to do it yourself a few times before you can create such SOPs. So cool. And I think from a content standpoint, so adding new content, we talked a little bit about that. There is some, low competition. There's tons of informational posts, but one scenario that I've run into is I started a specific site, and I published about 50% review content and about 50% informational. I started to lean more into the informational, maybe about 75%. And then the informational content started to take off. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to lean into it. And I published a lot more content. So it ended up being like 95% informational. What I discovered was the informational content that I was publishing wasn't paying a high EPMV. So the earnings were relatively low. The traffic was skyrocketing. Rankings are great. But the content I was publishing like pushed the overall EPMV average much lower. So I'm in a spot where I'm like, okay, the traffic's fine. Rankings are good for even like the sort of ranges, the windows that you were talking about in the data analysis project. But I realized the monetization is off. So I'm actually going back to add more product review content. I'm confident, or at least I feel comfortable doing that, because I have so much informational content. And the fact is, I have to make it a sustainable like business model, and publishing more informational content that doesn't provide an ROI. And the thing is, like, you have to have a big enough time frame to do the analysis. So sometimes we get questions and people are asking about like 5 months in or even 18 months in, and it takes a while for things to rank. It may take 2 to 6 months for something to kind of mature. I've heard people say a year. So at that point, you have to have a pretty long timeline and a long feedback loop to actually make decisions. That said, I am adding more product review content because that just pays like a shitload more on a per visitor basis, and you can't ignore that. So we do have several questions here, which we'll launch into because we are starting to hit towards the end of the hour here. But some people are asking, how much traffic do I need for X amount of revenue? And it definitely depends on how you're earning money. So like I have one site, and it's more digital product based, and it doesn't get much traffic, but it earns a lot of money because it's the right traffic and the products are very expensive and it's digital products. Some people have like huge sites, 1,000 posts, and they're making a very small amount from each visitor. So you have to look at those pieces and understand like what you're trying to do. When you watch success stories like on my channel or on Niche Website Builders, basically some business models are just going to pay a ton more. So you see someone that's earning whatever $2,000 a month in 4 months, they probably figured out a pretty good monetization model that's way better than just display ads. So display ads are great for informational content, but they pay way less generally. Do you guys agree with the broad sentiment there?
Yeah, I don't think there's a rule of thumb really in terms of how much traffic you need to make X amount. It's going to vary considerably across different niche. I'm just looking at my couple of Amazon accounts, tracking IDs. I've got one 752 clicks last month, only $57 in Amazon commission. Another one had way less clicks, just 200 clicks, $74 in commission. So they're just a couple of little sites on Amazon, but yeah, the products, the subject, all those things are going to affect your affiliate rates and also your RPMs and CPMs, whatever we call them now, RPMs, in a big way. And yeah, if you can start promoting digital products and courses and all that kind of thing, then you can earn some serious money off very little traffic.
I saw somebody talking on LinkedIn this week about we use Ezoic and Mediavine, like ad networks for display ads, and he basically said like his business model is buying up sites that are monetized through an ad network, especially if they're in a very tight space. Like say for example, it's a site about golf. Like you buy a site that's got tons of traffic and monetized through a network, and then you use old fashioned. You pick up the phone and you call golf companies and say, hey, I got 50,000 of your key target audiences visiting my site every month. Let's do a private deal where I'll put your banners here and here. And he makes a ton more money doing that. Like you can take a site earning $1,000 a month and turn it into a site earning $5,000 a month with no additional traffic. He's just making direct deals with these people. Like that's something we haven't talked about. And I think lots of internet marketers are just maybe a little bit lazy. Like we like the ease you can connect an ad network and you have to go and find these people, you have to speak to them on the phone. But that's another way you could make way more money if you are prepared to do that.
Right. Quick. My course opens up next week, by the way, multi-profit site. And that's one section, right? Like it takes extra work, but it's kind of an obvious situation. We love the ad networks. We love Ezoic specifically. I'll mention that they sponsor some stuff, not this particular show. But the thing is, the companies take a cut. They have like a lot of people working for them. So like they have to pay for the overhead. They're doing all this hard work. There's software optimization. There's all these great things that the companies do. So they're earning their money for sure. But if you go directly to the company, I don't know what it is. How much does Google take for AdSense? Is it like 30, 50%? What is it? Is it 30%?
60. Doesn't it take 60% on YouTube? Is it something ridiculous like that?
It's something. Do you, Alex?
I don't know exactly. I know on things like super chats and that kind of thing, they do take 30%. They're going to take their cut. They give you the platform, and that's how it works.
Yeah, so you cut out the 30%, you could charge a little bit more. It's still cheaper for the other company, and like you win, they win. You don't have all the other bullshit you got to put up with. You do have to negotiate. You have to sell. So, what would you say?
45% YouTube keeps.
Okay.
45%. Okay.
Yeah. So just you could do some quick math and say, hey, you know, like how much you guys paying? Like I'll take this. Like it'll be a little bit more for me, a little bit less for you, and then yeah, it works out. You do have to manage the whole relationship and invoice and whatever, but I mean, the example that you gave, Adam, is perfect. So, okay, we have been marking questions today. Tim just made it in so darn late today, but we're glad that you did make it. So I marked some questions here. And Matt404 says he has a site making 20,000 visitors per month, $200 an affiliate, and you want to switch to display ads, product updates, so hard to follow. What would be the best approach? I want to implement with Mediavine. And one of us can just hit this. So anyone done this specifically?
Yeah, well, the first thing you've got to do if you want to get to Mediavine is get your traffic from 20,000 to 50,000 to meet the requirements. And then I'm assuming that 20,000 doesn't just go to your product pages. Otherwise, you'd probably be making more than $200 a month in affiliate commission, right? So like you must already have a lot of informational-based content. I do one of two things. Well, I do two things. One, grow the traffic. And the other one, I turn on adverts across all of the pages to start with, even my affiliate products. Like 20,000 visitors a month, even with a $10 EPMV or RPM, you're going to be making at least another $200 a month. So you're going to at least double your website revenue by just turning it on. It could be more than that. All the site, all the pages, and then monitor. Does your traffic remain steady, but does your affiliate commissions drop over the next month? And if it does, the adverts are probably having a negative effect on your conversion on your affiliate pages. And if that's the case, you can just disable the adverts to show on your money pages.
But has that ever happened?
No, I've never happened to me.
I've never heard it happen either.
It's often a big myth, isn't it? Oh, I've got an affiliate site. I don't want to put ads on because it's going to detract from my affiliate links.
Matt Diggins did that research piece, didn't he? Where he took two sites and he put ads on one and not ads on the other, and the click-through rate for the affiliate program actually increased with adverts because he said people expect to see adverts on websites these days. It's almost like a trust factor. If you don't have adverts, people are almost a bit skeptical. Like, what's going on here? Yeah. Why have you got adverts?
Right. And yeah, and one other, even though I said we'll keep it tight, I was going to say, I would not worry. I would just go to Ezoic instead of like Mediavine in the meantime. Like you may as well earn more money now, and then you can decide if you actually want to switch later. But yeah, that's something to look at.
You're never tied to an ad network, are you? Or do you have to commit?
Usually not.
You can change. Yeah.
Unless you're getting some special deal. Okay.
We start with AdSense, go to Ezoic, and work your way up.
Yeah. Okay. Are you guys good on time to go a little bit over, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Abdel Kabar says, want to know about the things that keep you motivated in the first months before your blogs get good results. Alex, you want to take this one?
Oh, it's hard. It is hard. Motivation. I think we've talked about that before. You just got to feel that sense of achievement. I mean, it does feel quite sweet when you hit that publish button and get something up. But yeah, when you're not seeing the traffic or the money coming in, it's very hard to keep motivated. You just got to, watch channels like Doug's and mine and some success stories, and hopefully that fills you with inspiration and motivation.
The other thing which you can do as well, it depends if you've got a tool or not, is I always love doing this. Before you even see traffic coming in, is look at impressions in Search Console and watch that go up instead. That's not traffic, but at least you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, you need some graph to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and Ahrefs number of keywords in the top 100. Like it's never going to get traffic with that, but at least you can see like progress day by day and things working even before you see traffic and revenue. Like, that for me is a big motivator.
I'll go too, because I can't help myself. So one slightly different way to look at it is to look at systems versus goals and go read about leading indicators and lagging indicators. So you're focused on the results, which are the lagging indicators. And there's a book by Scott Adams called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. It talks about systems versus goals. But basically, if you're looking at the results, those lagging indicators, well, they're coming much later. So you're doing work and you're like judging your success and motivation based on something that will come in the future. Makes for a long feedback loop. Just back up in the whole system here, and you'll look at production. So what do you need to do to reach the result, and then focus on that. Then you're looking at, okay, let's publish one article every week and just keep moving forward and look at that progress, not the results. After some time, right, the results will come, but you have to focus on the front part. And the other thing is, like, if you hate whatever it is you're doing, the alternative, like, you'll be motivated to make it work. So, okay. Raul says, how many articles in the first year of blogging and what to expect traffic and income wise? Anyone want to take a shot at that?
It's hard to say. You need to do as many articles as you possibly can in the first year, I'd say. That's always the best answer. And I don't think you see much movement until you've got maybe 30 or 40 up. And then you start to see a little bit of growth. And then hopefully, as you add more content, the graph goes up. Although on my site, the Popcorn site, last month we added another 25, 26 articles, I think. And yeah, there's been no traffic growth at all. It's just been going sideways. So it doesn't always correlate.
How many articles you had on there now, Alex?
About 150, something like that. 157.
Do you share the revenue like publicly or
yeah?
How much does it make a month at the moment?
Last month it made $150. So what's that? $1 an article, nearly.
Because, and again, we're working with just partial data, but the data is suggesting at the moment for sites, if you get an average EPMV of $25 through display ads, in order to get to your first $1,000 a month, you need about 350 pieces of content. So I was just wondering how that's comparing to where you're at.
No. You say, is EPMV the same as RPM? Is that different?
Pretty much. It's earnings per 1,000 visitor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The amount for every 1,000 page views a site. Okay, yeah. Is that what you call it, RPM? My average is only $5 at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the niche, because we took the 25. I took it from the average across my 14 sites is 25. So I was like, oh,
wow,
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
That sounds high. I don't know.
Well,
and obviously it changes through the year, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you, Zoe, if they got a better idea, because they've got way more data. But if it's 20, then it's more than 350 pieces of content if it's $20 EPMV. But I guess caveat that by saying that's only with display ads. We talked about what routes to monetization. You've got affiliate content on there or whatever. Like, that's the blended RPM across all of your pieces of content. You might have some pages which are product based and they've got a $50, $60, $70 RPM because they convert more and the products are worth more. But blended, if it's $25 per 1,000 visitors, you need, according to 4,000 sites we looked at, about 350 pieces of content to make it to your first $1,000.
Wow. Okay. Better crank out the content a bit more. We are cranking out, to be fair. The writers have been non-stop, and I had to slow them down at one point. It was just getting out of hand.
I caveat that as well by saying there's lots of examples of sites with way less posts and getting the same traffic, and there's lots of sites with more than 350 posts and getting the same traffic. So, but that's the middle of the road. It's like a banding, which we're looking at the average, and that's the average across. I think in that section of banding, there's about 600 or 700 sites that we looked at. So across those 600-700 sites, on average, they've got 350 pieces of content.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, yeah, I'm just having a look on that report that Doug mentioned in the big data. I've not really ever drilled down into here, but it does vary considerably across the site. In fact, the guide on how to make chocolate popcorn, that pulls in a EPM RPM of $22.
I've done that before, man. I'm a popcorn pro. I make it on the stove. Like, seriously, man, I don't know how much you'll pay, but
I think
can make
we
some
could
good
have you as
popcorn.
you could be the star of this. I think of the new YouTube channel that's coming up. And then like other pages, I'm just trying to find one that's actually got some money next to it, which is weird. They're not putting in anything at all, really. Like the RPM is like $1 or $2.
I think Phil mentioned something good in the comments there. Like, what's your breakdown of traffic between desktop and mobile? And Phil says you don't have the sidebar sticky advert. And so if a good chunk of your visitors are on desktop, you're missing out on a whole ton of EPMV and revenue because that sticky sidebar ad is the highest paying ad spot.
Yeah. And
I don't have a sidebar, Phil. One doesn't really have a sidebar, does it?
Get the sidebar on there. That sticky ad spot's the best spot ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a site, my brother's site. What are you talking, Doug? We recently bought it, and I put the sidebar on there. Let me check what the increase in RPM was from adding the sticky sidebar. Hold on.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I added a sticky sidebar, and there was another piece in there too, sidebar, and I know what it was. I also looked at the mobile versus desktop traffic and the amount that I was getting. So it was like 80% mobile traffic, and if you look at the EPMV desktop versus mobile, that was another huge delineation. So with like those two pieces of information, I was like, this is clearly a different type of visitor, a different user. One's more consumer based, the other one is not. And it's very clear to me for my particular niche exactly like why the EPMV is dropping. It's good to have the traffic, right? Like Google is recognizing the site's okay, but like what I'm getting traffic on is just not paying off. So it's like, all right, do I go for more traffic or revenue? And I'm running a business, so I'm going like, there's a balance now, so I need to swing it back over. So
yeah, I mean, on this site it's about 80% mobile, so I don't know how much I'm missing out on the sticky.
Yeah,
it increased my brother's RPM by 15%. Just adding the sticky sidebar.
Okay.
Let me check what his split in desktop to mobile was, though.
Okay, cool. And we'll keep jamming through the questions because we do have quite a few. All right. So Secretarial Monk says, how much traffic would I need to earn $2,000 per month? My website is not ad friendly, so affiliate marketing will be my monetization strategy. So I'll just answer this one and we'll move on. So technically we don't know, right? It depends on the niche, but you need way less traffic to make $2,000 a month affiliate wise than you would for ad revenue. So how much traffic? I mean, it could just be, a few thousand visitors per month or so could be enough to earn $2,000 per month. If you go and watch some of the success stories on any of our channels out there, you can get a pretty good handle on like traffic and revenue for primarily affiliate sites. And I'll also tie in another question from Eternal Student.
I want to know why his site isn't ad friendly, but never mind.
Oh yeah. I've heard of
it's niche. I get it. So maybe it's super niche.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I often challenge questions and say like that's a dumb question, but we'll just go with it. We don't have time to figure out why. All right, so it's a new site. You decided to mix in some AI content. You put blah, blah, blah. Okay. So one thing that I'll mention also is around the AI content because there were a few questions there. I'm still looking for the person making full-time income from a site with primarily AI content. So I haven't found the person yet. I am looking. So if you happen to know someone who's doing really well, let me know. But I would say the more care and time that you put into it, if you end up spending 2 weeks on one article, but that article makes $500 a month because it's ranking number 1 and it's really good, maybe it takes you a month to write it. Who knows? Like, it will pay off more than if you publish 100 shitty articles from an AI writer. Like, the people that I'm talking to that are doing really well, they're writing the content themselves, or they have like one other person they're working with. I haven't heard from anyone who has said, all right, this AI tool is just crushing it, and like I'm making a full-time income. So let me know if you find them. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I do have some people that I'll refer you to. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, he follows up there with, I did some more research, like real thorough, and found out that Google can see and understand it is AI content, mainly because of the plagiarism. Oh, interesting. Well, first off, Google, I think, does struggle to detect AI content. And secondly, AI content is not not as far as I know, in the tools that I use, plagiarized. It doesn't copy data. It creates its own, doesn't copy content. It creates its own content. But Google is very good at detecting, well, maybe not so good because there's still quite a lot of crap that comes up, but pretty good at detecting bad content, badly written content, content that doesn't add much value, content that doesn't deliver on the promise of the headline. So really, if you can just keep that in mind and just think about the people that are going to be visiting your site, that are typing in that keyword, that are searching for that information, and you need to be able to answer on that question and deliver it clearly, concisely, and accurately. And if you use an AI tool to help do that, then fair enough. But generally, you can probably do it yourself. And don't worry about the word count. I think a lot of people. I was looking at some sites last night on the live stream, and the content was just terrible, badly written, not answering the question, not really delivering any value, badly formatted, just big lumps of text. No one wants that content. No one likes it. No one's reading it. So you just got to be better than that.
Cool. Yeah, and I don't think Google can tell if it's AI content if you go through and edit it. And I've seen much better content quality from AI tools than from bad writers. So I do come down. I think I come down hard on the AI tools because I think people are still trying to like save time over like providing quality, and I'm trying. Like you can use them well, but I think when people are not putting the time in, and you can do the same. I mean, you can commit the same sin hiring an agency and not reading over the content. And sometimes like there's different writers writing your content. Let's say you're getting a big order of like 100 articles. It's probably not all the same writer. It's probably several different writers. So you should go through and you would need to edit those and make sure those are in good shape too. So it's, I'm not totally against AI tools, but I think they're still misused quite a bit. So Alex, yeah, we'll follow up to find out who these mystery people are. Okay. Ahmed has, for Haro, would you use a Gmail or a specific email with the domain? So this one's specifically a Haro question. I would say, probably use a specific domain email. And how long should the answer be? As long as it needs to be, but brevity is probably your friend, and just clarity as well. So,
well,
yeah.
You say that we are testing long form answers for our Haro pitches, and so far it was only been about 3 weeks, but the success rate has been higher with long form answers than short couple of hundred words. So I don't know on that one, Doug. I think it needs more testing.
Yeah. So what don't
the reporters want a long answer, do they?
Well, I don't know. The thought behind us testing it was like they want a quote, but especially there's a difference between US journalists and UK journalists. Our understanding, or our experience so far is UK journalists are very lazy or lazier, I guess, and they want the answers written for them essentially, whereas a US journalist will just want a snapshot and some bullet points and to make their own conclusion. So
yeah, the
yeah, I
British
don't know.
Just want to copy and paste it straight in.
Yeah, that's what we're finding so far.
That's funny.
We tested some other stuff around like journalists, to talk with the journalists, and yeah, there's a definite distinction between who you're pitching to and how you pitch it, between long form and short form.
And the one thing I'll add, don't put a big like bio section up front. If you want to put a bio section, put it at the end. That's one thing where I did observe like a lot of people will put like their whole background to maybe build trust, but people don't get past that part and they're like, okay, this person is just talking about themselves for too long. So, All right. Raul says, I make $200 per month. Can our site reach $5,000 per month? I would say yes, anything's possible without knowing anything else aside from what you said. Yeah, sure. You could do it. I believe in you. We all believe in you. All right. Daniel says, I'm wondering if you guys had a dip in affiliate sales after all the updates.
I mean, through my Amazon account, no, it stayed pretty steady for the sites that were in there, so I didn't see any dip.
Nor did I. Some of my affiliate sales have actually gone up, but I think it's independent of the updates. Yeah, and like 25% growth month over month for a couple of months.
And don't forget to click the link, like Alex said before. If you're with Amazon, you should have got an email, or you might have got an email to say, click the link to increase your commission. I thought I clicked mine, but I had an email yesterday to say, hey, you haven't clicked it yet, and I clicked it. So if you don't click that link, it's weird.
I don't talk about that anymore. I did a shorts video on it last week, and another fellow YouTuber reached out and said, have you read the small print at the bottom of the email? And it's like, this email is highly confidential. Do not share the information. I don't know why, but Amazon could just be funny some days and just go, you spoke about the email that we said should never be spoken about. It was striking you off.
And we do have a few more questions. I do want to let everyone know you can sign up for notifications. There's a link. It's the very first link here in the description. I send out an email before the live streams because YouTube can't be relied upon. Sometimes they tell you about it. Sometimes it's like an hour later. But if you want notifications, you can sign up for the email list below. All right. Sonia says, I have low EPMVs because the traffic is only 40% from tier 1 countries. How do I target tier 1 traffic to make more money via ads?
Yeah, well, you've got to write content for tier 1 countries, and that starts with the keyword research. People in different tier 1 countries search differently than other countries. We've got a client at the moment we built on an age domain, and the topic is mainly about something that's in like Asia, and we didn't quite realize that would also drive visitors from that area. There's still a lot of US, but there's lots of like Asian visitors. So for the next round of content, we looked at specifically how can we target it towards North America, and that's had a big impact. So it's figuring out what kind of content resonates with people in tier 1 countries and writing that content, I think, is the main one there.
Cool. Makes sense. And Eternal Student says, if Google finds out I used AI, will it affect the whole site or just the AI content? What do you think? I don't think it'll be AI content specifically. It'll be bad content. How about that?
Yeah. And Google have said that if they find a lot of bad content on your site, then they will penalize the whole site. Yeah. Read their last press release, whatever it was, announcement on the Google core update.
Solomon has this question for you, Alex. You are a big fan of Jasper. I attend your live. I want to use Jasper as my writer, then to see if I will make it.
Any thoughts on Solomon? wpeagle.com/Jasper is the link you need. And good luck. Let me know if you need any help. Just remember, it's not just a one-click article machine. There's going to be work involved. And if you've watched any of my videos on it, you'll see the process. I still will spend a good hour or so creating an article with Jasper.
An hour? There's so much time, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Some people would spend a day an article. I mean, if I was writing it by hand, it would take me a day, probably.
All right. Our friend Tony says, my insurance site has a much higher EPMV, is 60% desktop, and another site that is less, has lower traffic and a lower EPMV. Okay, totally makes sense. Chris, what's up? I figured this is going to take some time for an AI site to drive a full-time income since the tools are new and still developing. Right on. Yeah. Okay. Laughing Hyena says, I'm working on a brand new site. I want to ask if I should go for ad revenue right away or focus on affiliate sales first, then display ads later on. Alex, what do you think?
I don't think you could add ads too early. I think you should add your affiliate link straight away, for sure. I always have done. Ads, to be fair, are often something that I bring later, but with, the new program from Ezoic, I can't remember what it's called, that you don't have to have any minimum requirements. I don't see any harm in getting the ads on as quickly as possible. Even maybe just start with AdSense. That's what I used to do. They don't have any requirements. Although I say that your site does have to look kind of finished. The content needs to be of a certain quality. Otherwise, they will say no.
Cool. And let's see. Dougie Fresh says, do you generally focus on one main monetization when launching a site?
Yeah, typically we do. I mean, the whole keyword research strategy is focused around one type of monetization, usually, whether that's display ads or affiliate revenue. So, I mean, typically, yeah, when we focus on one type of monetization.
Okay. Very good. Toby says, have an affiliate site with 20, I think we already answered this, 20,000 monthly traffic. The goal is Mediavine. How can I get to 50,000 sessions faster? Publish a shitload of content, I would say. Alex, what do you think? Anything else you would do?
No, just keep publishing, yeah.
I've seen in a couple of like niche specific groups, so like in the food blogging groups, they've got an active community of people in there, which they'll say, I'm at 40,000 sessions and I want to get to Mediavine. How can you help me? And they'll post a link to like one of their recipes, and then all of them will go to the page. They'll go out and they'll post that recipe in tons of different Facebook groups all about recipes. People will click it, and I've seen them talk about they get accepted for Mediavine by doing that because they just need a small bump for the last month, for example, or whatever. So I don't know. It's obviously you can't do that to get from 20 to 50,000, but if you're almost there, then I've seen people do that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, publish more, do more. And Toby, you didn't mention how old your site was, but sometimes this takes time. I don't know in your analysis project, Adam. I mean, I suspect the age of the site is going to be one of the components too, right? Age and the number of links and the amount of content.
Age is a funny one. That we need to figure out how we're going to bring age into it because it's hard to find the true age of a website. So age is a sticking point. That's not factored in at the moment because, we can't find a reliable way to bring that data in yet.
Okay, yeah, and this is a tough one. I mean, there could be some redirects in there too, which you would have to go. I mean, you could see that, but you'd have to go and do additional sort of manual analysis, and then you're dealing with thousands of data points, so that becomes a little tedious.
Yeah.
So okay.
Also, I don't like time is definitely important when you're launching a new website, but I think velocity is more important. We've just launched another a case study, our own case study, and publishing 4.5 million words of content in 4 months. Like we don't expect that site to take 24 months to get to its full potential because it's been front loaded so much. Velocity also plays a big part as well as time, I think.
Cool. All right, last couple questions here. Roz says, how much full-time income, since every country is different? What do you think someone in the UK is full-time income? We have people who work 9 to 5 for £1,500. Yeah. So it varies. Generally, like the sort of the watermark that a lot of people adopt in the US, or at least in my audience area, is like 10K a month. So even after taxes, like you're bringing home pretty solid amount, say 75K, and most people can like live fairly comfortably, even with a family. 75K depends on the city and all that stuff. But yeah, what do you guys talk about for like full time?
That sounds like a very generous income. Yeah, I mean, here in Spain, a couple of thousand would be plenty. Probably you could live on that. I'd say to be super comfortable, you'd want 5K a month. When you start getting up to 5 figures a month, then you are really that's way more than a comfortable income. That's serious money, I think, by the time you get to there. But yeah, it's all going to change. I mean, currency changes and all that. In fact, the pound is nearly the same as a dollar right now. So, but yeah, I think if you aim for like 30, 40, 50,000 a year, you're probably going to be fine. And obviously you'll have a lot more time, which is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah. Anything else, Adam? So
No, not really, nothing.
Cool. All right. Yeah, and a lot of people in my audience are like IT professional type folks, so they're making a six-figure income. So you want to kind of replace that. So that's why it's a high watermark.
You got them car payments and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not me. I got that old truck. So, okay, cool. Thanks everyone for hopping on. I think we hit pretty much all the questions here. Bradbury says that I need more for guitars and beer. Yeah. So true. Yeah. So yeah, what's going on with you guys this week? Adam, what's coming out? Anything to look out for?
Not a lot this week. Mark and some of the team are at Brighton SEO, so gutted I'm not going to be there. But that means there's no live stream tomorrow because Elena's on holiday and Mark's off in Brighton, so I don't really fancy doing it on my own. But if you missed last week's episode, go and watch it. It's one of our most popular episodes. It's where we introduced the launch of our new case study, which I talked about. So it's launched. It's literally 2 months old yesterday. We launched 8 weeks ago. Built on an age domain at DR27, and the whole premise is to build it to 2,200 pieces of content by the end of the year. No AI content, all written by our team, and build it from a DR27 to a DR60 plus through 301 redirect and a Haro link building. And we've picked those numbers specifically because on our data project, that tells us we should get to, in 24 months, around $25,000 a month in revenue, which will be
so you're trying to test the data, see if the rule of thumb is right.
Yeah, well, we've back tested it on smaller ones with client sites that we've worked on, and lots of them fit into the average, but we've never worked on a client site specifically where we've added 4 million words to one website in such a short space of time. So we want to see what happens if you basically take the shortcut. You talked about site age there, Doug. Like, all right, what if you condense what a successful site looks like in terms of content and links into a 4 to 6 month period? Does that mean in 24 months we can sell it for $1 million? Like that's the goal, is to exit for $1 million in 24 months.
Cool. Yeah, somebody was asking on the live stream yesterday. It was at John Rydell, something like that. He's active in I think both of our live streams. So he was like, they're doing this crazy project. What do you think? And I'm like, it's fine. Yeah, I was like, not for me. Doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, but sounds interesting, and I would love to talk about it. But okay, that was the project.
It's expensive. We've spent about, or we would have spent about $350,000 on the project. So it's an expensive project. Ooh.
Yeah, you'll be able to talk about it all over the place on like a lot of different podcasts. Like,
yeah, well, get money's worth out of it.
Especially if we sell it for $1 million, we'll shout forever about that then.
Yeah.
We'll never hear the end of it. We'll be bored of hearing about it.
No, we'll be sick of it.
Yeah. You can make the rounds, talk at conferences over and over again about it. Yeah. Cool. How about you, Alex? What's coming out this week for you?
This week, tomorrow live stream, hopefully tomorrow afternoon, just chilling out, doing some working on a little side project just for a bit of fun, just using AI to create a lot of content, a lot of short content, answering very direct questions on the new site. Can you wash it? So yeah, answering some interesting questions like, can you wash the mold off strawberries?
Yeah. That's fun. Can you wash blood off a tarp? Can you get blood out of? It's like I don't know. We watch scary movies in October, so we watch like all horror movies like all through the month. TV shows that have Halloween episodes. It's a lot of fun. So I guess my mind's in the gory.
You milk Halloween for a whole month. I mean, here in Spain, it's not really a thing. Not really. I mean, they go up to the cemetery. I think I don't know why I use that American kind of word, cemetery, on the day, and just to kind of put flowers down for their relatives, which I think is more similar to the Day of the Dead in Mexico, probably.
Right. Yeah.
But no trick-or-treating or anything like that. But we got some American friends over here, and my kids, they really want to do Halloween, so we will do some Halloween stuff for sure.
That's cool. All right.
I always like the Simpsons specials for Halloween. They're always the best.
Oh yeah.
Treehouse of Horror.
I haven't watched one in a long time.
Simpsons are predicting the future, though, right? Like, what are they going to predict that's going to happen next? That's the thing.
You got to be careful. A lot of them are fake, you know that.
Oh, are they really?
They kind of doctor the Simpsons to make it. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But
ruined TikTok for me.
Yeah, interestingly, just on a kind of horror kind of theme, I was reviewing a site last night, and it was all about meditation and things, and I wasn't sure what was going on with the writing of the content, whether it was AI or just bad writers, but it suddenly got really weird. I've just actually put a shorts up about it on the channel. Go check it. But this is a couple of paragraphs from an article on what is meditation and why do you need it. Meditation helps you relax after an intense day at work or school, so your body doesn't end up committing suicide, because there's no other way left except by hanging ourselves with our own bloody ropes, which we call ties.
Wow.
What the hell's going on there?
That is
a little chilled out meditation site. And then is that just some AI that's gone wrong, or a bad writer that's just got out of control? I don't know.
Oh man,
it doesn't even sound like a bad writer. It sounds like AI.
Yeah.
It's like a kid would turn that in as a school project, and the teacher's like, "Oh no, I better take it easy."
Refer this to the counselor or something.
Did you see that piece of content that Keith from Minton Empire put up about a piece that he found, which looks like AI, about how many eyes does a horse have? And it says a horse is a lateral-eyed animal with 2 eyes and 2 eyelids. Both eyes are located on the outside of its body. Regardless of whether the horse is wild or domesticated, it still has 2 eyes.
It's very clear.
Big question.
Yeah. And Kush did have one question. What are your thoughts on SEO in 2023? And, these kind of questions are not my favorite. I was going to say pretty much the same as 2022. So whatever we've seen, there's going to be a lot of updates, and it'll be the same as 2022, basically. So
SEO has never really changed. The core of SEO has always been for good content, technically marked up, which generally is quite easy now. We have platforms like WordPress. Back in the day, when people were making websites out of Flash and stuff, it was more of a problem. But generally, it all comes back to good content. Now, of course, there's the black hat side of SEO, which does change all the time, where you're trying to manipulate Google and change it and do things that Google would frown upon. That changes all the time, but that's not an area that we're really in, and not an area that I'd recommend you get in, unless you're doing something like a short-term win and you're not building sites for the future.
Yeah, cool. All right, and for me, coming up, I'll play my Doug.Show music.
Come on.
There we go. So for me, I have a podcast. I actually have 2 podcasts, but you could check out the links in the description here. I talk about the same topics on the Doug Show. The other one is personal finance related, but I did have a show. It's actually published on YouTube, an episode, My Failure Stories, Part 2. There are so many failures and mistakes that I've made. It's a series. So there are already 2 parts out. One is show 393. And I published that, I believe, last week. It was very popular. You should check it out if you want to be, inspired to not worry about your failures and mistakes, because you'll come out the other side. It's going to be fine. And then I have an episode coming out tomorrow with my friend Olga, and talking about SEO updates and what to do after your site gets hit by one of the recent algorithm updates or a future update. And she has some very specific strategies, some things to do that will help you prioritize what to work on. Because that's the thing. It's like, should I even work on a site to try to recover it? What do I do if I decide I do want to recover it? So we go through some step-by-step items there. And yeah, you can sign up for the notification email list. There's links to Alex's channel and to Niche Website Builders as well. So you can check out some of the recent stuff there. And I think that's it. So guys, this was a great one. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, we're on Niche Website Builder site, I guess. Yeah, channel. I mean,
probably.
Yeah, I think we're on our channel next week. I think.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. All right.
I'm on holiday next week, so I won't be here. Oh, no. So you have Mark next week.
Okay. Musical chairs.
Okay. That's
awesome. Fine. All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
Bye, guys.
See you later.